So, today we're going to talk about how to give constructive feedback as a manager. This is something that nobody feels comfortable doing, but if you have some good techniques in your toolkit, you'll be more effective. We're going to talk about the SBI model, the feed forward technique, the 3-1 positive to negative feedback ratio, the grow model, and then we're going to talk about behavioral coaching. The SBI model, or situation behavior impact model, is probably the most common and popular feedback model. So, this model is really about delivering clear and objective feedback as if you're watching a recording. You're going to start by describing the situation, then detail the very specific behavior, and then finally explain the impact of that behavior. You want to keep your feedback factual and you want to center it on observable actions. This is most effectively done immediately after you see a behavior. It's less effective when you're trying to recall a specific circumstance a week or 2 weeks later. Deliver more consistent results. In this example, we're not talking about things that went wrong in the past. You're going to let your employee make their own, draw their own conclusions about that. You're simply talking about how to do something more effectively in the future. The 3-1 positive to negative feedback ratio actually has its roots in consulting firm strategy. So, firms like McKinsey or Bain often teach this strategy to new recruits. And the idea is that you're going to balance positive and negative feedback, often starting feedback sessions with 2 to 3 strengths or achievements before addressing an area that needs improvement. So the idea here is that you might say something like, I appreciate how you consistently meet your deadlines, contribute to creative ideas, and support your teammates. One area to work on, however, would be double checking your reports for accuracy before submission. I would note that you really need to make sure that the positive feedback is really genuine. Employees will understand if you're just trying to make up things that they do well in order to give them that negative feedback. So make sure if you're using the strategy that the positive feedback that you're giving is really things that is a strength for this employee. Behavioral coaching is just what it sounds like. You're talking about the behaviors, not the person. So, an example might be instead of coming to somebody and saying, you come across as very aggressive or you come across as very abrupt in your communication, instead, you're going to say, I've noticed that your emails can sometimes come across as abrupt. That's the behavior. Clear and considerate communication is crucial. So perhaps using a friendly greeting and a friendly closing can help improve your tone. That's a perfect example of a behavior that needs to change without drawing an assumption about the person's intent. So the GROW model, which stands for goal, reality, options, and will, is a really nice framework when you're talking about development for an employee. So, this is a time when during feedback sessions, you can help guide your employee along these 4 stages. And some of the things that you might talk about is what's your goal for, say, example, improving your presentation skills? How do you feel about your current performance? That's the reality, right? What are some strategies you can think of that will help you get better at this? And how committed are you to implementing these changes? The will in grow, GROW, is probably the most important because without a will, there won't be the way. So, why use Launch 360? Well, you can build self awareness. It helps leaders understand how others perceive them, which is often very different from how they perceive themselves. It helps develop emotional intelligence because Launch 360 focuses on EQ related leadership traits like empathy, communication, adaptability, and conflict management. The platform is intuitive and designed with a clean user experience. You can launch a full assessment process in just a few clicks. And the reports are easy to read and designed to fuel real growth, not just data for data's sake. Many users use it as part of a coaching or development plan. You're in control. So, unlike many corporate tools, Launch 360 was built for consultants, HR professionals, internal coaches, not to lock